Hello, this presentation is about the article named Reverse Vaccinology Approach for the Identification of Potential Vaccine Candidates Against Salmonella. And here are the authors of the article, and it will be exposed by me, Camila Otero, and Sofia Berrio. We're third semester students of the Universidad Pontificia Bolívar.
Salmonella. It is a disease that comes from the Enterobacteriaceae family. It has two types, the Salmonella vangori and the Salmonella enterica. It is a foodborne pathogen that can cause intestinal and systematic diseases. It can cause gastroenteritis, enteric fever, among others. It can be transmitted by person to person, like by the food, or if you have pets in your family, it can be transmitted like that. The most susceptible patients are children under 5 years old, children with HIV, and children that live in rural areas. It kills among 155,000 children.
The vaccine is an alternative because across the time the bacteria have increased the resistance against antibiotics. The current licensed Salmonella vaccines include a TIFI strain and polysaccharide of S. enterica var TIFI against typhoid fever. There are some proteins of candidates. The target is to select surface-exposed proteins able to act as candidates for general vaccine efficacy.
Ahora vamos a continuar con los materiales y métodos de ELISA. Entonces, ¿cómo funciona? Es que vamos a detectar un antígeno, ya que se une un anticuerpo unido a una enzima que es un marcador para medir la formación del complejo antígeno-anticuerpo, que es lo que les acabé de explicar. En esta diapositiva vamos a hablar del Western blot. Entonces, ¿cómo funciona? Se usa un proceso llamado la electroforesis, que es que se meten las proteínas en un gel y esa nos permite conocer la concentración, el tamaño y la composición de la proteína.
Bueno, la PCR es una abreviación en cadena de la polimerasa, se usa para ensayos moleculares rápidos y se usa para amplificar la secuencia de ADN a partir de cebadores, que son como partes chiquitas del ADN, y las polimerasas ya se encargan como de la replicación y de ampliar esa cadena, por decirlo de algún modo. Ok, la supervivencia. Entonces tenemos que la dosis letal es del 50% y los ratones fueron evaluados por 30 días luego de que se les aplicó la vacuna. Esto permitió analizar la morbilidad, mortalidad y el porcentaje de supervivencia.
A protein, which is a soluble version of the flick protein, could stably exert a cross-reaction to 26 of the 28 strains, with an antigenic coverage of 92.35%. Among test Salmonella strains, results indicate that the immunity of the flick MBCSC could influence the colonization of Salmonella in organs and alleviate the organs damage caused by Salmonella infection to prolong survival time of mice and decrease mortality compared with control mice.
So, in here, in the results, we have obtained platelet with hematoxylinosin. And in here, we're going to see the protection that each vaccine had in the liver and in the spleen. First, we need to understand what does the red arrow mean and the green arrows mean. So, the red arrows means that there were necrotic areas accompanied with inflammatory cells infiltration. And the green arrows mean that there were necrotic areas and necrocytes. So, we can say that the flake in the liver had 5 arrows, so it didn't protect it as well. In the BCSC, there were 2 necrotic areas, and in the PVC, there were 3. Now, in the spleen, we can say that the flake protected the spleen completely. The BCSC did it as well, but the PBS had 8 green arrows, which means that it didn't protect the spleen as well. Now, we're going to support what we saw in the last slide with this chart. By looking at it, we will say that the less protective vaccine was the PBSC. Why? Because the CFU per grams, which means the colony forming unit per grams, was the greatest. So it means that there were more bacteria while we use the PBS. And the significance values, which are the ones that have the asterisk, says that the most efficient vaccines were the Flick and the BCSZ. So now the discussion. In here we have that Maria et al. 2017 said that there is a greater probability for those vaccines targeting these antigens to generate protective response. And it did happen, because as we saw earlier, that the vaccines had a great response to protect the body against Salmonella. Now, Ahmad et al. 2016, he said that the BZSZ is required for efficient pathogen-host interaction when C. diffimurium invades epithelial cells. And again, it did happen, because as we saw in the results, the BCSZ was a very good vaccine to protect the body, well, more specifically the spleen and the liver, against Salmonella. Now, Josen and Swearbaum 2002 said that the black flagellum Flick may potentially confer partial protection against Salmonella. And as we said here, the Flick vaccine was another vaccine that it was very protective against Salmonella in the liver and the spleen. So again, it did
Bueno,
happen.
las conclusiones. En este caso, en el artículo, la biología molecular nos da las bases para poder entender acerca de esta patología. Luego nos da el conocimiento del genoma, que es muy importante en este caso porque se trata de desarrollar una vacuna como prevención para la salmonela, pero una vacuna más efectiva ligada a la selección de proteínas, como vimos anteriormente en el artículo. Esto es bastante importante teniendo en cuenta que la salmonela se vuelve más resistente a los antibióticos y por eso hay que favorecer la prevención. Bueno, en este caso es importante resaltar valga la redundancia, importancia de pruebas como el Western blot y la PCR, que son algo de índole, pues son pruebas muy moleculares que nos permiten conocer más acerca del genoma y obviamente desarrollar la vacuna al permitirnos ahondar más como en la base de la patología.